Wushu-Kungfu Sanda Day. And then, yeah, like I watched Master Ho with the chain thing. Yeah, that seems more dangerous than Sanda, so I definitely don't need to do that. I'd hurt myself. So today we're gonna get into a whole lot of catch and takedowns. So takedowns from catching kicks, right? So I think one of the unique things about Sanda, we probably talked about this before in one of the last few, one of the previous videos or seminars, is every martial art is fought under a certain rule set. So like a lot of times people ask us like, well, is Sanda like Taekwondo or is Sanda like karate? Or it's kind of hard to put Sanda in a box because there's so much you can do, and there's so many what would you call it? So many ways to score. So it's I always tell them it's a very open sport. You know, it's boxing, kicking, wrestling. Outside of those formats, almost everything goes. In semi-pro, you can knee and elbow. I take you down, everything but fighting on the ground, right? So because the way it's scored, the sport will evolve in ways that make it able to score. Like we've talked a little bit about counter catch drills and counter kicks and counter shoot-ins and the way they incorporate wrestling in with striking and takedowns and stuff all together, because it's scored that way. To where other sports, like I'm not really familiar that much with like karate or taekwondo, or like I am more familiar with Muay Thai and stuff, but there's not a wrestling. So you see the differences in the way Muay Thai fighters stand and the way they fight and the way the sport looks was because of the rule set it competes under, right? So because it's so open, it leads to a whole lot of evolution in different ways that Sanda does things that other sports, that makes it very, very unique and when in comparison to other sports, right? So again, one of the bigger things that I think that separates it from other sports is the emphasis on taking people down, right? Of course, like MMA is similar. It has a lot of wrestling. It can take people down. But I think Sanda's probably been doing it a little bit longer than MMA and probably has more technical side of catching kicks and taking down, to where I don't really know of another sport that catches kicks to really focus on catching kicks to take down. Thai boxing does a lot of catching kicks, but it's usually for counter kicks. And they do some sweeps and stuff, but not near on the level that Sanda does. You got something?
Yeah, I think the Sanda, this sport, the most famous is a catching, like we're going to show you, because I think like if I have a good kick and Corey doesn't have a good kick, he will try to use his catching and take me down. So I think different skills can conquer different problems.
But I have good kicks.
I mean, for example.
But yeah, so let's just get into this. I think we taught a little bit on how to catch kicks before. I think we did, but we'll go over it again real quick. But then I'm going to show you a different way to catch kick, and it's a perfect example of how the sport evolves under the rule set that it's fought under, right? So, first roundhouse catch, right? So whether it's middle section or low section, I can't catch it on my head like this, obviously, right? I can catch it on my torso or on my leg. So in Bruce Rose, the roundhouse, I lock it up tight with my arm, right? My other hand is going to brace a little bit on his shin to kind of keep the impact from hurting me too much. And ideally, if I catch, I might, of course, there's a million scenarios, and I might have a million different ideas going through my head on what I want to do. But in the beginning, it's good to catch Bruce kicks. I catch and I come with the kick a little bit to take a little bit of the impact off of my wrist. So, one more time. I slide, bam, and I catch and I lock it tight from here, right? This is usually how we teach people in the beginning to start to catch. One really, really important detail, and it's the same for straight kicks. I think we've covered this before. He straight kick, bam, I suck in and I catch it over and under with this little X grip. It doesn't matter which arm's on top. It doesn't matter which arm's on bottom. But the common theme in catching kicks is I have to be a little crazy. I have to want him to kick me. I have to give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. That's what I wanted, right? Like I have to really want that, so I'm expecting it. I want him to give it to me so I can catch it. I cannot be hesitant and I cannot be passive, and I can never, ever, under any circumstances, step back, right? Or if I step, in the case, roundhouse, roundhouse, same thing. If I step back out of fear of getting kicked, and I'm not saying you're a wussy or you're scared of getting kicked, it's your brain trying to keep you safe. So every beginner who's not familiar with catching kicks, they will always step back and miss their opportunity because their brain's trying to keep them from getting kicked. I can't do it. I have to want it. Bam! I move just a little bit to slide the catch. Okay. So those two we've talked about before. Straight kicks, whether it's front kick or side kick, same thing. Okay. So now let's talk about one I don't think me and Bruce talked about last time, or Bruce and Doc didn't talk about last time, which is going to be I call it the modified upper body catch, right? Because I can catch it with my head or I can catch it on my torso. So this probably about, I've been doing this 14 years, 15 years, probably the last 8 or 9 years, we started seeing more and more of this at Worlds and on a higher level, right? And the reason is because at Worlds, on the amateur side, when Bruce landed the roundhouse, bam! Technically, he scores 2 points. I catch, I take him down as 2 points. Okay, so whether or not I catch good or not is irrelevant. Bruce will still get the points. So he landed on the target area, right? He made a sound, his clear movement, his displacement, all those good things that are criteria for scoring. So the techniques changed to where if I keep my hand in and Bruce lands, bam, there's no point there. It didn't land on the target area, right? So we started seeing more and more catching from this style to where this modified catch, bam, to where I step in. Let's try this other side. This one? Yeah, you can switch your stance if you want. So when he kicks, bam, I keep my elbow in and my other hand is going to uppercut his leg. So his foot never lands on the target area, therefore he never scores. So one more time on this side so you can see. I step in. When I'm left-handed, I just slide in with my left foot because it's already in front. My right hand stays tight to my body, and my left hand comes up to my head under his foot to catch tight. Okay? So that is if I'm right-handed on the left side, I'd simply slide in, turning my shoulders parallel, right? If it's the right side, or if he kicks the left side of my body, he's kicking with his right leg, I would step in with my right leg at the same time. So, one more time. He kicks with this side, I step in, bam, keeping my left hand tight, my right arm underneath his leg to catch it, right? I call this a modified catch, right? So, it's a smarter way to catch kicks because I'm not losing points. If you fight in the amateur, Worlds, Pan Ams, your nationals, right? Semi-pro, I don't think it's scored as intently on the points. I think it's more on like a 10-8 system. But so yeah, modified roundhouse catch, right? That's what I call it. It's my name. I made it up. I'm the king. So let's go over. We'll get into the modified catch in a second. So the other thing about wrestling and Sanda is not very rarely, a lot of times just my first technique works, probably most of the time. Whatever my first technique, if it's efficient, the right timing, I predicted my opponent's movements correctly, and usually I score with the first attempt that I do at this takedown. But I call this a catch series, right? So like if it did fail, you have to be able to change between different takedowns so that you can get your opponent. If one doesn't work, I have to try the other one, right? If the other one doesn't work, I have to switch into something else. So, first little series we're going to do, I'll break down all 3 of the takedowns, and then we'll put them together and so that you can see how they would work together, okay? Now, just because these 3, any series, any leg catch takedown can work in a series. Some work better than others because of the way the movement or the defense that my partner gives me will allow for a better option. For some options are better than others. But here we go. So let's say Bruce gives me a left roundhouse on my body, right? Bam, right? Just because it's easier for you guys to see on this side. So it would work on both sides, but we'll just do it for this side because of the way the camera's set up. So when I catch this time, I'm going to follow like we talked about, right? Now, instead of me bracing my left hand on his shin, I'm going to try to bring my other hand underneath him. So I catch, bam. I'm going to bring this leg. It can be locked on my hip here, right? What the key point on both, whether it's here or it's here in between my legs, is my head is tied to Bruce's butt and his hip. My ear is super glued to his hip, and I have a lot of leverage on his thigh, on his femur, right? The bone from his knee to his butt to his hip. If Bruce's defense is to push me off. If Bruce breaks this, I have no more leverage on his body because his knee is out of the hole. Once his knee's free, he's out. Now I can switch to do things. Well, I would have to switch if I want to try to take him down. So let's just do the first one. He kicks him. We'll go slow motion. All day we're going to do slow motion. I'm tired. Bruce is so strong, I don't want to get hurt. So I catch, bam, right inside my leg, swinging, pushing him down. So ideally, I would try to do this at the same time and on the same motion. I couldn't see the question. So when he comes slow, bam, in between my legs, using the momentum of his body to catch him with this very basic first leg catch, like IG. Sure, I don't know. It sounds good. So when one more detail. My shoulder has to be as high and close to his hip as possible. If I try to do this lower, right, now his knee's out, there's no way it's going to work. There's not enough leverage on his body to push him down. So the leverage and the pressure that I'm applying to Bruce, bam, I'm not trying to spin Bruce laterally. See how my head's up? I'm not trying to move. I'm not trying to move Bruce like if my shoulder's here. I'm not trying to move Bruce laterally like a circle that's parallel to the floor. He'll just hop, right? What I have to do is I have to push. I'm having to turn, but my pressure is driving towards the mat. I'm trying to make him stand on a leg that he doesn't have anymore. So where his leg would have been, somewhere in this area, right, where my nose is pointing, is where I apply pressure while turning, right? So one more time, nice and slow, for just the basic between the leg roundhouse catch. Bam. Right? So, you can do the same catch on my hip. Bam, here, right? Everything's the same. I have his foot locked out on my hip. His knee is being barred on my chest, so I keep his knee straight. My hands here, same pressure applies, same detail. Turn my face, driving his butt to where his leg should be. Okay? So sometimes, a lot of times, right? This move doesn't work. Like, it didn't work, he pushed me off, whatever the case may be, it's not working. So what I don't want to do is get into this scenario where a lot of times in judging or refereeing, if the guy is constantly switching, and he's constantly switching, they'll kind of I don't know if you guys have noticed this, they'll kind of let the athlete go to see if he can finish the movement. If I get stuck, for sure, they're going to stop it because I'm not changing, I'm not advancing techniques to try to get Bruce taken down. So the second movement in this series, right, is sometimes I catch, bam, right? I tried the first one, but look, my head's off. My shoulder's a little too far on his hips, whatever, it's not working. So the first one, second technique we might use is this. So I'm going to put my hand behind Bruce's knee, but I'm not pulling his knee. I'm driving my arm like a corkscrew, bam, right? I'm not pulling his knee. I'm not trying to buckle his knee. I'm trying to corkscrew his knee, right? Now, one important detail. If I try to do it tall with my shoulder above his leg, I have no leverage. My shoulder's getting caught. I want to be low, if possible. My leg here, turning, corkscrewing, driving the same pressure as before. Ooh, my quads are burning from getting squatted like this. So, 1, Bam! I tried, it didn't work. I reset my feet, keeping the knee on my chest, barring him while catching the back of his knee and corkscrewing my elbow, right? Not pulling his knee, corkscrewing my elbow, right? One more time. I catch, bam, too far, it didn't work. I tried, he's hopping. I readjust my feet and catch behind the knee, doing my corkscrew, okay? So, personally, I don't like this one that much. I feel like I'm too tall. Maybe it would be better if I fought guys taller than me. I don't fight that much anymore. I'm old and beat up. So, but any technique, it's the same in jiu-jitsu. We both train jiu-jitsu as well. Sanda, jiu-jitsu, probably any martial art that's used in fight sports or combat sports. There's a lot of techniques that I don't think are that good or I don't think are that effective. Like, for example, like I don't like spinning movements, right? If I ever throw a spinning movement at you, it's only because I'm super great and so much better than you that I feel comfortable enough to do it, which seems like never. So I maybe have thrown it twice in 15 years. Like, I don't like this movement. It doesn't mean it's not good, because if you've ever watched Muslim Salikov, he can throw it in his sleep and knock people out and land big time. So it's obviously not a bad movement. So same thing with takedowns. Even though I don't like them, I still teach them. Bruce and I still teach them to all our students because they might like them and they might do it well enough. And any move you practice all the time, you're going to get better at, and you can even change my mind or my opinion on what I think is, or what takedown is good for what circumstance, right? So now let's talk about the last in the series, to where he kicks. Yeah, that's fine. Good one. Here. I tried, I got pushed off. Bruce is pushing like he's supposed to. Oh, I can't get this one either, right? So now I don't all these, I kind of make my own legs. So I call this the turn leg drive. So from here, Bruce is pushing on my shoulder like he's supposed to. So now what I'm going to do is I have to get to his leverage. I have to get leverage or bring his body weight to me. Wrestling and takedowns are all the same. Whether I either take your balance and your body weight so that I can manipulate it to take you down, or you give it to me, right? Like number one rule in all of wrestling, don't ever hug me. If Bruce hugs me, now I have everything. He brought all his weight to me. Whether I take him down the way we talked about, or I let go and pick him up and kill him, right? Because once I lay my weight on top of him, or I hug my opponent, I just gave him everything, okay? So I catch, bam, I tried the first one, I tried the second one, it's not working. So now let's break this down. This, I keep my right arm super tight because I need his leg to stay tight on my chest. Now, what he's pushing on me is going to turn. So I don't care if he's pushing on me. So this I use when I'm really pushed out far away from Bruce. So this is my option to try to take him down when he's far away. So from here, our feet are making a line. Okay, that's the other thing about these two. If Bruce hops to where our three legs make a triangle, I don't have any leverage because he's in front of me. I need him to be parallel with me. Now I have leverage, right? So our feet are in a line. Now watch what I do with my legs. One, I step behind, or I can shuffle step, whichever one you like, but I always step behind. So I have his ankle locked out on my chest. I step behind. One, turning my back. Two, right? And turning my face. It's hot in here. Oh. So one, bam, here, right? So watch. I turn my foot. One, turning my face, driving my heel to the mat. So another detail. When I do this, I don't want to kick up. I bring my leg, I'm on one leg, I lose my balance, it's hard for me to keep it. So when I do it, one, two, turning my body, right? Let me try the other side so you see my butt. So here, right? Bam, I catch. Sometimes I put my hand on his face. Sometimes I put my hand on his chest because he's pushing me, right? It doesn't bother me if he pushes me because what? Lock your frame out on me, please? Yeah. So watch. One, two, three. Right? Yeah. Good. So, go ahead.
That's good.
Got some?
No.
Sweaty.
I think what Corey said right now is a game plan. If a game plan A didn't work, you switch to the B. B didn't work to the C. So you have a multiple choice. So all those basics, like the takedown we show you right now, is how you play the game during the fights. You know, like what Corey said. If I do this, we have to go out of plan to conquer this problem.
Yeah, you can't get stuck and just, I didn't get it. You know what I mean? The guys who are the best are the guys, oh, it didn't work, oh, it didn't work, oh, it didn't work. And they keep switching until they catch you, right? So this one, I do that one sometimes. I don't do that one that much, but this one I do a lot. So from here, right, like this. So I caught the first one, right? So now I try the first between my legs or blocked out on my hip, take down the very first technique we showed. So when I do it, and Bruce hops, he hops because he's trying to keep his balance, right? So when I'm pressure, he pushed me off. When he's hopping because it's how he keeps his balance. If he didn't hop, he'd just fall over. So how I use this is I use Bruce's defense against him so that I can come for the next takedown, right? So I catch, I turn, he hops, I swing under, and I come up, right? So this one I like a lot. So we'll go, so bam, I catch, I underhook, and I start to push Bruce. He hops, he's got me framed out, he's doing what he's supposed to. Now, this one's tricky. I see on my left hand is underneath his foot. So I'm going to use him hopping and make space here in front of me. For me, see, now we're perpendicular, we're not parallel. So now all I have to do is step out, bring this leg up, my other hand comes underneath and up. When I do this, I'm trying to take, I can call it taking out the trash, like you dump a big trash can over. And if I have to, I block with my yeah, I'm going to block Bruce's supporting leg, right? So, bam, I try other detail. If you don't try the first takedown, he won't react, right? If Bruce doesn't, if I try to do this here, push me, Bruce, there's no way I can do it because I can't get him. If I don't make him defend the first one, I won't have the opportunity to do the second one. So when Bruce was talking about we do A, B, or C, or whatever, it's really important that you try to do them. Because if you don't, you won't get the reaction that you need to finish the second movement or to land the next one, right? So, yeah. One, bam, hit, swing out, stop. Okay? So, that one I think is a really good one. A lot of times, I'll tell guys that are newer that if you're having an issue wrestling, or like let's say we spar on Thursdays usually. So let's say Thursday, a guy's having troubles landing any of these techniques we're going over. A lot of times I'll tell him, man, double up. Go double unders, switch, come to the outside, and raise him up. Because if you can get both legs on my chest, it's hard for him to defend. Because if I get both Bruce's legs, I can go sideways, running sideways faster than Bruce can hop backwards. But if I held it here, right, now I don't have this leverage on Bruce. Be heavy on this leg, Bruce. Yeah, this. See, now it's hard for me. I'm not going to be able to kick your supporting leg away from me, Bruce. Yeah, this. No. I'll kick this away. Yeah, like that. So now it's really hard for me to handle him. But watch this. Once I change, a little bit Bruce right here. So, you're right? Yeah. So once I change, you'll see the weight distribution change on Bruce. There. See, now his weight is more leaning backwards than it is leaning down on me. Once I can break that seal going this way, just a quick little shuffle step, hop, hooking his supporting leg so that he can't hop to defend, right? Or to keep him falling. Okay? So, there's those four. Okay? How you use them, how you mix them up is really up to you. Right?
Experience.
Yeah, experience. You'll develop which thing you like to do because of your body type, of your style, of your mentality, which you know, the way, that's the other cool thing about Sanda is like the way I fight or fought, because I'm old, maybe I'll fight again one day when I'm healthy. I didn't say anything. Is the way I compete and the way I approach the sport is different than the way Bruce does, right? Because of my body type, my mentality, what I like to do, what I think I'm good at. And the same thing goes for Bruce, right? Or even weight classes, right? Higher weight classes don't do bigger kicks. They're not near as skillful, if you want to call it that. Like if you watch, what's the lowest weight class? Bruce, 48 kilograms. If you watch 48 or 52 or 56, man, those guys are good. They have the most beautiful takedowns, the most beautiful kicks, the most beautiful counters. Heavyweights like me, I mean, it's more of a boxing match with some wrestling and some kicking. If you get above me, like 90 plus, sometimes those are just sumo matches. I mean, really, they're just pushing each other off. It's not a bad thing. It's part of the sport. But they're different, right? The way a 90 plus guy fights is not the way a 48 or a 52 guy fights, right? So everybody's different. So whichever takedowns you enjoy or whichever ones you like, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Whichever ones you do, you're going to get good at. And the better you get at those are the ones you're probably going to rely on more. I would suggest that even though you're really good at these, sometimes you need to try other things because sometimes you'll bump into guys that shut your game down and you have to be able to adjust and try something else or you won't be able to score. You know what I mean? Okay? You good with that?
Yep.
Oh, good job.
Always. Always.
So let's go over the modified catch. Okay? These are a little bit, I feel like, more, if you can catch them and do them correctly in the right timing, I think these are higher percentages that you take your opponent down with the least amount of effort, the least amount of struggle, and a higher percentage of finishing. So, like we said, modified catch, first one. I'll probably just do the first one. The second one's the turning one. It's a little, you want to do that? I'll show you. We won't really do it. I'll show. The first one's great. Second one, you need to be good at some other stuff before you do it, but I'll give you an idea what it looks like. So the way we practice this is I'll have Bruce roundhouse me. 1, right? I squeeze tight, take it. 2, I'm meeting his leg. 3, right? I take a few to catch it. Weak. Oh, sorry. You got an idea of that. You gotta sell it. You gotta make it look like wrestling.
But make sure I can be the table.
You want to be on the camera? So watch. So same as before. When I catch, coming sideways. Bam. I'm coming towards Bruce to be parallel. I don't want to be square. If I'm square, there's no leverage. It's hard for me to catch. So I have to go parallel. Bam. Right? Bringing my shoulder to Bruce. My supporting leg back up to touch Bruce. My foot is going to block his supporting foot, whether it's the bottom of my foot or my toe up and I hook with my heel on the mat, right? Whichever one is good for you. But the other thing, other common mistake, I can't take him down here. If I catch, it's going to be hard, right? Just like when you cut a tree down, you don't cut it in the middle of it. You cut it at the roots as low as you can, right? The roots. Yeah, I heard that. So watch. So when I do this, I have to have a good experience. I have to have a pretty good guess of when Bruce is coming, right? So when Bruce comes, bam. Try not to take it down. So, same time, bam, coming up, right? Same as before. I need to break Bruce's balance off. See how he's hopping backwards? Once I tilt that pendulum, I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah, once it starts to break over to where it's going to fall, Bruce is going to hop to keep his balance, right, to keep his leg underneath him. My other foot is simply just stopping him from doing it. Once I can block his base, he'll crumble and fall, right? So, crumble and fall. So, other modified great takedown I'll just show you guys is I'm going to do a spinning step, bomb here, right? Same time. I won't do this from the Bruce. It kind of hurts. But another odd ticket. Bomb, while he comes, right? I step on my right foot, parallel, all 3 of our feet are together, rotating, kicking my hands tight, his leg tight, kicking up, dropping my upper body like a pendulum, kicking up, hitting him with the back of my thigh. This one we're not going to cover. It's kind of advanced. But if you're good, you can give it a shot. Okay? So now, last series, we'll spend probably the most time on this one. And if I have a little extra, me and Bruce might play around and show you guys some other ones. But the most common I feel like the most common, most effective, most powerful, and the one that gives you the higher possibility of knocking your opponent out at the same time. It's kind of like a double whammy. It's like good for me if I can knock him out, right? Obviously, or really hurt him. And it's also good for me if I hit him hard enough it breaks his balance, I can take him down. So I call this the cross punch series, right? So now, but Corey, what if Bruce was left-handed? Well, it wouldn't work if he kicked with his left leg. I can't jab him. I could, but it's not going to be as effective. But you can. I can still hit him, bam, and do what I want to do, right? It's not going to be as good as this other one. If he kicks me with his left leg, bam, or his right leg, I'm going to give it to him, right? Same thing if he was left-handed switch Bruce. If he gives me his lead leg, bam, he's going to get it too. So, cross punch lead to takedowns. First and foremost, the best one, in my opinion, is when I guess my opponent's rhythm and I have the right timing, and maybe I'm dominating him a little bit as far as the exchanges go. You'll start to learn the more experience you get. You kind of know what he's wanting to do, and you get more and more comfortable with him doing it, right? So you start to be able to predict better what his movements are going to be. So this one is one of those movements where when I know it's coming, it's really effective. And it's effective if I get surprised. But here we go. So first one, I call it the cross punch bulldozer over, right? So he comes, the second he comes, right, I'm going to lead with I'm going to step in and give him a big cross punch. I'll hit Bruce in the shoulder right now because I don't want to kill him.
By one punch.
By one punch, like that cartoon, the One Punch Man. Yeah, I'm that guy. Bald, too. Bald guy. I had my red cape and yellow outfit. So, it's the same thing. So, when I know Bruce comes, he starts, bam, same time, right? Here. Most of the time, if I land good, I continue my body weight forward, my right leg will follow, bam, and I'll run him over and he'll sit on his butt. Right? So, very easy. No, it's not easy, but there's not much... technique? Yeah, not as much. It's not as technical as other takedowns we've been talking about. But the timing has to be perfect. Yeah, the technical side is my ability to judge what's going on. Here it comes, bam! I give it to him, right, and run him over. But most of the time, if it's done right, he either takes a big shot and he sits on his butt, or he gets knocked out. You see a lot of guys get knocked out from this. You see, or just the impact. Even if I miss and hit him in the chest, bam! The impact of my body weight coming forward will sit Bruce down on his butt. Okay, so one more time. He's here. He comes, bam! Before he can get to me, I'm coming, right? Trying to knock his pretty face off. Okay? So, using the cross punch first, let's say I don't knock Bruce down, but a lot of times I can stun him enough to be able to get the next movement on. Okay, so another common takedown you see from this is called the head under leg. I call it the head under leg sweep. Yeah, takedown thing, right? So the beginning is the same. Bruce comes, bam, and I give it to him, right? So, right, see how Bruce's head is down? Or he gets out of the way, right? No, come back here, good. Or he gets out of the way and I miss, right? Or I hit his shoulder. From here, my hand comes to the crown of his head, not his neck. Raise your head up, Bruce. This can be hard for me to control Bruce. If I just bring my hand up a little bit on his crown, I can control him a lot better. Now, my other hand is on his heel here, right? So I catch, bam, whether I miss or whatever, I instantly switch. Now, from here's what's going to happen. My left foot is going to step 90 degrees towards, you guys can't see, that direction. Not towards Bruce and not towards the punching bag behind me, in the middle to the corner. So from here, I take my left leg and I step, right? My right hand is driving Bruce down, not towards you guys. I'm trying to bring his head underneath his legs, while my left hand is raising him. See this balance problem? So what does Bruce want to do? He hops, just like before, right? So yeah, me too. So, I got it. Same as before. I'm manipulating his balance, and the way that he tries to keep it is by hopping. It's trying to keep his leg underneath his body weight so that he doesn't fall. So I have to do those steps and block his defensive hopping. So it's the same as the modified one where we raise him up. So he comes, bomb, right? Big shot. I switch to his ankle, crown of his head. I step towards the corner, boom. Driving his head down, raising his leg up. Now my foot stops that hop. Super easy. Well, it's not really easy, but it looks easy. So, same thing. He comes, bomb, first timing cross. Switch, stepping towards the corner. Right foot blocks his ankle. And when I step, I'm driving. Bomb, right? Isn't that a Chinese Kung Fu movement? Bomb, something like that. I don't know. I've seen him do something like that. So, one more time, a little bit smoother. He goes, bomb. So, obviously, what I want to do is I want the first one to land really clean so that I can hopefully knock him down, knock him out, set him on his butt. 2 points for me, easy. Well, 3 actually, right? 3. Boom, 1, and then 2 for the down. So,
but like what Corey said, you have to try the first movement. If you don't try the first movement, you will never get to the second movement because it's kind of like you're fishing, you know. You have to put the minnow on the hook and put in the water. It's never you put a hook in the water and catch a fish. So you have to try the first movement so your opponent will react to the next movement and you can go for the next one.
Yeah, it's a good point. Look at you go, man. So, like, he's right. Like, if I caught it and I don't really feel the cross and I don't come forward, one, my cross isn't going to be that hard because I don't have any momentum. I'm not close enough to Bruce, right? And if he doesn't react and he keeps his weight right above his supporting leg like it is, he's not going to react in the way I want, right? And then now it's hard for me to pull him down because I'm not close enough and he's so tall. If he's tall, I have to switch, right? So it's just, yeah, this is where you get into the game of like, I'm constantly going, like I think Bruce said earlier, you go to A, you go to B, you go to C, you go to D, you go back to A, you try B. You're doing the best you can to keep cycling through these until you get them. A lot of times it really is like almost, got it. You know what I mean?
And also, if you just stop in the one movement, the referee will stop.
Yeah, they're not going to let you continue if you're completely shut down, if the guy completely defends perfectly, right? So cross the head under leg up. And now we're going to do cross to thigh hook or cross to thigh sweep or hook. I'll show you. This one is same as before. It's not as technically difficult as it looks to do the movement, but it's extremely hard to do it live in sparring or in fighting, right? So, same thing, he kicks, bam, big shot, right? Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to step forward with my right leg deep while sliding up underneath his knee, okay? So, I hit him hard, I slid up to his knee, I step big with my right foot, running towards him. Now, either from here, I'm driving him back, whether it's on his shoulder or if I'm kneeing under his face. And I'm going to try to hit him with the inside of my thigh. Bam. There, right? So, bam, bam, right? I'm not going to take Bruce down because it's rough, man. He goes from being vertical to horizontal and drops, right? So, hang on, let me do this over there. Bam, bam, right? My body weight is going to jump on him. A lot of times when I've done this, I try to put all my weight and land on him and hurt him when I fall. That's another secret technique. When you take somebody down, if you're going to go down with them, you drive your shoulder or your forehead into their gut, into their ribs, because a lot of times you slam a guy hard, all your body weight's on, and they don't want to get up no more. Hey, out of the air, yeah, get all the air knocked out of you. Okay. So if I'm close enough, bam, I can do my thigh. Bam. If I'm not, I have to push him and I hook him with my foot. Same thing, right? I know I told you before I want to do it low. These are both high. I lied. It's not always like that. Here, hook. Bam, driving him backwards, okay? So, those are 3 normal ones we do. So let's talk about, that's kind of all I want to do. We went through them. I'll show you 1 or 2 more fancier ones. We should do the 8 where I pull you. We'll do two. Two more. So, same thing from the cross. Bomb. Sometimes I miss, right? I hit him with the big cross. Now, a lot of times when I'm doing this one, Bruce hops, right, to defend, and whatever reason, I didn't stop him. I missed my opportunity, right? So now what do? I just switch right back to the double under. You just, okay.
Yeah. Like the one he did go under, let's go back to the first, like 10 minutes again.
Going back, like we did A, B, C, and back to A, right?
Yeah.
So it really just depends, man. Sometimes I hit him, bomb, I can go back to A. I can hit him, bomb, like say Bruce covers or something. Bomb, we go right back to the first takedown. You know what I'm saying? And then from that movement, once he's hopping, everything we talked about goes. I mean, you can literally go back to any of the ones we did. I can hit him, bomb, right? I can go for the first one. He defends. I can try the shoulder. I can switch to the outside. You know what I mean? A lot of times I can push him, shotgun him right back. I change hands, bomb, and go in for the sideways.
Sideways.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know what any of them are called. I make them up. Other one. Sometimes I catch. Big cross, bomb, didn't work. I switch. Oops, my shirt. Left hand in his face. Bomb, kicking low on his body. Chopping him low on his foot. Hurting my pinky toe while I do it. Alex is good at this one. Don't tell him I said that. Alex is good at this one. He likes to catch. Bomb, switch. Bomb. He's very, very good at this one. Hell, I actually think in last Worlds he won. Probably won that last round with that takedown. Yeah, with that beautiful takedown. I hope he doesn't see that, but I gave him praise. Okay, cross, head wrap under those. Again, sometimes let's talk about what two common defenses that Bruce will do that I have to address that stump a lot of beginners. And we'll talk about defenses in general. When Bruce catches me, your turn, babe. So my number one goal, I'm not going to hop around a lot. My number one goal for defending this is keeping Bruce's head and shoulder away from my body. The higher Bruce gets on my leg, the closer he gets to my torso, the more leverage he has. So I'm constantly pushing him and driving him away, right? So let me switch to like badly. This side. Now let's talk about the secret technique for defending takedowns. So here, right? Obviously in Sanda, this doesn't count, but I do it a lot because I like it. I'm heavy here on this collar tie, and I'm smacking him because a lot of times it'll make you second guess what he's doing. So from here, what I want to do is a lot of times if my leg is on the outside of Bruce, he has a lot of leverage on it. And see, now he's real high on my hip because I was pushing, he beat me. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring my foot inside his leg, framing off of his head. See, once my arm is straight, he can't come back. If my arm is bent, sometimes Bruce is strong, he can push me and come back. See that? So when I'm here, I'm framing my arm off. Now look what I do. It's on the back of his neck. Look, I'm going to hop around towards you guys. Now look, my leg in between his leg is playing with his balance, right? He's not parallel anymore. Once he's perpendicular, it's hard for him to apply pressure. What he wants to do is switch his head to the other side. When he switches his head to the other side, I'm looking to put my knee to the mat and escape. Other big no-no. Wow. If you turn here, right, we're parallel, right? If you cannot bomb. If you try to do things parallel or bend your knee while we're parallel, it's bad. Okay? Other thing, careful. Don't always turn your knee away from me, because when he turns it away and faces the other way, look, remember in amateur and stuff, for most Sanda fights, I just need his knee to touch the mat. Whether I drive it to the mat here, right to where he faces, or the guy bails, boom, body lock and he's picking you up. Okay? So back to the defense. So when I kick, Bruce catches, bomb, I instantly control him. I'm trying to keep him perpendicular to me, right? Remember, if I can feed my leg, I hop. Now look, my leg is playing with his balance here, keeping him perpendicular. When he switches, let's say I miss my chance to pull my knee out, he switches to the other side, all I do is switch, keeping him that way and trying to come the opposite direction, still playing with his balance. I'm facing you guys, he's facing a wall, so it's really, really uncomfortable. We call it the rudder, like a boat. I'm constantly weaving it in between his legs to break his balance. Same thing when I catch here, right? Bomb. If I can keep him away, I kick my supporting leg out, I'm pushing him away. A lot of times I'm looking for his he wants to change sides. When he changes sides, that's my opportunity to pull my leg out, right? Bruce can't pull his leg out, though. If I have a good grip on it, right? It's dangerous. I'm going to be able to get closer or push him down or get a better pickup.
So, like, the wrestling is really difficult for a first beginner because it's a lot of experience for sure. And second, you had to take a lot of time to understand how the average work, how you break your opponent's balance. So I think, like how we did before, we'll do the one skills at home. One person do 5 times or 10 times and switch to another partner. Then also you go for different body size because when you fight, you don't know who you're going to fight with. So it's good just do the drill over and over again. And practice drill in the sparring, you try on the sparring.
Right. Most of the time, as far as training, like how would you drill these movements? I'm trying to think of like a typical practice that we do. For us, for our normal practice, we usually do something like wrestling days. We do Monday, we do boxing. Tuesday, we do a lot of wrestling, like whether it's from leg catch, from the clinch, from shoot-in. We do a lot of wrestling. We also incorporate some kicking. So like normal drills for stuff like this would be, we usually break it down to just 2 movements. Like today, we teach you guys a lot of different movements because, we have to fill up an hour, and it's cool to be able to show you all the different techniques for Sanda. Man, honestly, this is probably just touching the surface. Like, man, sometimes Coach Lee literally, I think he's forgot more takedowns than I know. And like, I think we've got probably 10 of them on here, and I can probably think of 15 more. But the other thing, it goes back, I have a lot of tools, but when you compete, you'll probably have 2 or 3 really good ones that you use, and it's pretty normal. Your solid movements that you practice a lot are what win your fights, right? Like, again, going back, I don't like to spin. Why? Because very rarely do you see a spinning movement win, and it's dangerous. If he spins, I step in. I have his body. I can always pick him up and wrestle, right? So I think that whatever you use and which ones you practice hard, the basic with, man, just the beginning. Like I said earlier, at Worlds, man, I would guess that if you tallied all the takedowns and which techniques were the most used, it would probably be the first two the 2 we talked about. He goes, bam, and he sits on his butt, or I catch, bam, and follow up his momentum. Those 2 are probably the most common ones. They're the most common ones because they're the most effective, right? They're basic. They're not that flashy. Yeah, they're not flashy. It's not like, we were going, here we go, Bruce. Give me one. It's not the flashy ones that you see, but it's the basic ones. But those are normal practices for us. We're kind of special. We have coaches who fought for, 15, 20 years over there. He has a giant toolbox that is really cool. We're actually in the process of doing an online training, like setting up a program for online Sanda where everybody across the country can get access. It's really difficult to find access to these good movements from a guy who's done it a long time. So we're working on trying to do something where everybody who's interested in Sanda can go straight to a really, really qualified source and use an online program where they can see all the techniques where we list them out. Just kind of like what we've been doing, but more detail and more experience and more drills and more training techniques for how to perfect all those different movements. So yeah, catch and takedown. That's probably 20%, 30% of what we know on this one topic. I think that's about it. What do you guys, Cindy, you got questions or anything?
No, I don't think I have a question. I have a question of my own though.
Okay.
So for the takedown or throwing techniques, like I know it's always better to practice with the person of your same size, but is it okay for, if you cannot find somebody who's your same size, it's okay to practice people who's like
Right.
taller, heavier, or like lighter, or?
Yeah, of course, right. So like a good example is like for a long time, I fight at 98 kilograms and Bruce fights at 75 now, Bruce? But you did 75 before.
No,
He did 75 before. I know he did. So he, are you crazy? He did 75 last two worlds.
Oh, last year.
So a lot of times, Bruce is my closest training partner. So my advice for bigger and smaller guys, when you're bigger than your training partners, you need to focus on being more technical and let go of power and size. Because if you just work on overwhelming your opponent, like the first one, I catch and cross, if I just did that all the time, man, I'm not going to get better at any other movements because I only do one that works on everybody who's half my size. So when you train with smaller guys, not just in wrestling, but always, you have to try to be very technical and not use your advantages, because if I only use what I'm good at, then that's all I'll be good at. And then one day when I bump into the wrong guy, what I have doesn't work. And it's kind of like we talked about earlier. If I only practice 2 takedowns, maybe they're really good and I'm really good at them. But once I get to a guy that they're not working on, he's shutting them down and he's doing what he's supposed to do. I have to be able to change, right? And if I'm not able to change, then I'm going to get shut down. I'm not going to be able to take anybody down. So the guys that are the best are the guys that can mold and adapt and fit any problem solving with the right answer, right? To make the key fit for whatever lock. When you're bigger or smaller than your training partners, you have to practice all these different movements technically and let go of just trying to, Hulk smash and beat everybody, right? So there was a question that popped up, Cindy. I couldn't read what it was. It said something about shadow boxing.
Does Sanda has shadow boxing? If so, what is the best approach?
It's basically just, in my opinion, shadow boxing. Yes, it has shadow boxing. Shadow boxing is probably the closest thing you can get to actual sparring. Fighting outside of sparring, because all the movements are completely free and open, and you're punching where you would be punching. How you would go about it is basically the guys that the best advice I can give you on shadow boxing is, it sounds goofy, is you have to pretend and be an actor, and you have to pretend you're fighting. For example, if I just move around, shadow boxing is just a continuation or practicing of all my skills, right? Whatever I'm doing, whether shooting, whatever I'm doing, right? If I stand stiff like a robot and I shadow box, it's not realistic at all. So like, for example, same thing if I sparred Bruce. I don't want to be a robot. I'm not moving. I want to play around and I want to relax and I want to have fun. I want to play with him. Same thing if I shadow box. I play a lot. I dodge. I jab a lot. I'm constantly setting him up. And I'm moving when I'm finished. Right? I don't throw my combination and look at him, because I wouldn't do that in real life. So when you shadow box, it's basically you have to pretend in your head like you're sparring or you're competing, and you want to put your combinations together. Even wrestling, I practice. It didn't work. I changed. I switched. Whatever. Just a continuation of the moves you want to do.
And also you can do the shadow boxing for your listening skills. Like first one didn't go, you switch to a different one.
Everything. Yeah, you do everything. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's about time. Thank you guys for the session. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right. See you later.
Okay.